Hello everyone and welcome to WGBS TV Live, brought to you by SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. In this, our April 19th, 2021 show, we're going to be covering a range of topics, including some stuff about Zack Snyder's Justice League, a lot of stuff about Supergirl, Superman and Lois, comic books, and our fan favourite question, and so much more. We're also going to be turning to you to ask or get your questions and comments on any Superman topic you would like to discuss, and to let you know how all that works and how you can get involved in tonight's show. Let me introduce you to my co-host, waiting patiently beside me on the other side of the world, Mr. Michael Bailey. Hey, Mike.
It is the other side of the world, isn't it? It's fascinating. All that separates us is a thin line. It's kind of amazing.
How are you?
I am doing fine. It's going to be a long week, but no one wants to hear about that because the people that have tuned into WGBS Live are here to hear about Superman. And because of that, we want to hear about the people that are watching us live right now on YouTube. So about halfway through the show, and if we don't have too much on the docket, we'll actually start taking calls. So how are we going to do that? Well, it's pretty simple. You're going to need Skype. Yeah, I know. Skype is terrible. But anyways, you're going to need Skype. Search for Superman Homepage and send us a message that you'd like to be on the show. Now, couple things. Two very important things. One, wait for us to call you because that can kind of screw things up. So message us and we'll get back to you and let you know. Also, if you are using an external speaker to watch WGBS Live, please mute that because we are on a bit of a delay and that can screw things up even more.
Yes, don't mute it now because that wouldn't be appropriate. Yeah. If you get on as a caller, that's when you mute it. But we also want to hear from you on our YouTube comments. If you're watching this live via YouTube, post your comments, ask questions. Michael and I will react to that whole feed of comments as the show goes along, and we will answer your questions, comment appropriately in return. And thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Mark Lax, sorry, not Mark Lax, he's in the chat room right now, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt, and Tina Murray. And looking at the people who are in the comments right now, I can see John Patrick Van Pelt, Justin Suarez, Mark Lax, Venkman, JP Roker, Michael F. Ballack, and a few others tuning in. So we want to thank you for being part of the show from the very start, and look forward to hearing from you as the show goes on. And if you would like to sponsor or support the Superman homepage, then you can simply do two things. You can either go patreon.com/Superman homepage and become a sponsor there with different levels of perks, or you can click the join button below on YouTube, and again, different levels of perks for different membership types. You're playing with a new microphone, are you, Michael?
Just a new headset thing. Nice. This one actually isn't a cheap piece of junk, so it's actually working. But no, I'm still using the good microphone. The microphone on this thing is not good for anything beyond maybe talking on the phone. So
thank you. Well, yes, John's saying he loves my background. We'll get to that in our fan favorite segment of the show, as we will with my shirt. But we will touch on that in the fan favorite segment of our show. But let's get into things with our movie segment, and this was an interesting one. HBO Max released a trailer online promoting Zack Snyder's trilogy of films: Man of Steel, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, and Zack Snyder's Justice League, which they've kind of then gone ahead and just made Zack Snyder's Justice League the official third film in the series.
Yeah, it's kind of like what they did with the Donner cut of Superman 2, only this one makes sense. I watched this trailer, and it was just long. I if they were trying to create a sense of excitement around the films, I don't think it did a very good job doing that. It was just like, this happened, then this happened, then this happened, and oh, the Justice League happened. And I was like, if you're going to do like a trailer for it, make it like epic, sweeping, get people's hearts going. But here it was just like a 5-minute like retrospective that I guess if you've never seen the films might, want to pique your interest. But as somebody who has seen the films, remember in 2001 when they did that trailer for the special edition of Superman the movie, and It just was really, really good? Yeah, they could have done this.
What did Bibbo think of the Snyder Cut? Asks Venkman. Maybe you want to touch. Maybe you want to kind of. I don't know if you need time to, get
No,
into
I don't need to
Bibbo's
get into
head.
character. It's just well, let me tell you something, bud. It had my favorite, and I really liked seeing him, and it was really good. I would have preferred the blue costume, but the black did okay for me. So yeah, I was okay with it. It was better than the theatrical because it didn't have all that schmutz or whatever was on his face.
Very good. Thank you, Bibbo. And thank you, Venkman, for asking that question nice and early in the episode.
Yeah.
Instead of right at the end. It's an interesting trailer. Here's a little bit of it. Obviously, it goes pretty long, so we're not going to... we'll just look at a bit of the Man of Steel parts of it.
You're not just anyone. You are here for a reason. And even if it takes you the rest of your life, you owe it to yourself to find out what that reason is.
So there's just a little bit of the intro, touching on Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman, and still they need to black and white their logos just to keep in feel with what Snyder has done. But it's obviously kind of very somber to start with. There's not like like you said, not a very sweeping, action kind of that builds up to it, but it's a very slow build. Where, as you said, that 2001 Superman the movie trailer was just awesome. Like all these flashback, flashing things are just kind of built up really intensely. But this is a different beast, and it's a big investment to sit down and watch all three of these films, especially considering the Snyder Cut is 4 hours long.
Yeah, it's like an entire day at work, basically, for most people who have like an 8-hour shift.
Exactly.
So it's just it's you're asking a lot. I do think that there's payoff for it, though, which. Again, it seems like, 1 minute I'm bad-mouthing it, the next minute I'm saying good things about it. It's because I have complicated feelings about the whole thing.
Indeed. But all three films are available to stream via the HBO Max service if you're interested in watching all three films, or just one or both, or three. I don't know, up to you. And the trailer is available to watch in full at our website if you haven't seen it yet. But that's pretty much it with the movie side of things. There was a comment in the YouTube comments there about a rumor that Cavill might appear as a crossover on Superman and Lois. I don't see that happening. I mean, that would kind of be cool. I mean, Brandon Routh maybe even. It's not something that... It was probably created by one of those clickbait websites just to try to get people coming over to their website. I wouldn't read much.
We got these clickbait headlines covered or something like that.
Something along those lines. But let's move on to the television side of things, where a new episode of Supergirl did air this past week. It was titled Phantom Menaces, mainly because of the fact that the Phantoms from the Phantom Zone were menacing everybody. And you were a little bit more impressed with this episode, giving it a 4 out of 5, saying a much better episode than last week's, but the drama is still dialed up too high.
It is, but on the other hand, I really like Nixley. I like her. I like her a lot. She's for just coming out and it's her first episode, I felt like they gave her a lot of personality, and she fits very well into the Supergirl universe in that she has this kind of dark past, but she's kind of bubbly, and all she wants to do is help them. And I'm liking the stuff in the Phantom Zone, and even the big fight was at least exciting.
Yeah.
I do think it's just hilarious that they've given Alex this very dramatic like suit up thing where she hits a button and suddenly she's in costume. It's
amazing that it does the makeup at the same time.
Yeah, I see. That's and that's the technology that they're dealing with. But it was better than the last episode. I really I want to like it more,
Yeah.
and I'm hoping that after the last episode where the trial was just my big huge problem. This episode, I actually really liked the dynamic, one between Lena and Brainy, and two between Lex and Lena.
Mm.
Like her line at the end is just like, "I hate you, but I love me more." It was just like, hey, there's some personal growth for this character. That's nice to see.
Yeah, it was nice interplay between the two, especially, Lex thinks he knows everybody, especially Lena. He knows how she's going to react and he knows how to play her. But I think he got a little bit played himself this time around and wasn't expecting her to do something that he himself couldn't contemplate doing, and that was handing over power of her share of LexCorp to him, or LuthorCorp, or whatever it's called in the show. So that was surprising for him. Some questions coming from John thick and fast about Supergirl in the comments. Is John putting too much stress on everybody to try to get Supergirl out? Well, I guess that's the point at the moment, is that the heightened stress of everybody, and that they're either trying to not use their emotions and act like soldiers, or yes, use their emotions and realize that there is family and friends at stake here. But that's kind of where I think you and I are both kind of going, this is just too much. Like, just, it's not like the first time that Supergirl's gone missing, or that there's been one of them that has had to try to retrieve from somewhere. They're just acting like she's gone and it's the end of the world and I can't carry on. And it's like, what? How is this different to anything that's happened over the last 6 years?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I get that this is, the kind of the tone of the show, especially last season, where everything, was kind of heightened. And maybe it's a little more emotional because they know it's their last year. So, they're trying to hold on for one more day. Just hold on. But yeah, I mean, this cast is capable of really good stuff. And the writing is capable of being, really good too, when it's not, going overboard with the social commentary, which is most of the time handled with the opposite of subtlety. So at least here in this episode, we had a really good, clear threat of the phantoms that were loose. The stuff in the Phantom Zone was really exciting. So it's just, they've got to get her out, because any longer, and I think that subplot will get tired.
Yeah. John is also asking, who is Supergirl's friend in the Phantom Zone? Well, Michael already kind of answered that. It's Nixley. She's a fifth dimensional imp. Obviously, we'll find out she's a princess, and royalty in this case, the daughter of the king. But she was sent off into the Phantom Zone because obviously of issues within her family, and she didn't live up to the standards or expectations. So I'm guessing we will see Mixus Pitalik turn up, which we know that he will, in the next few episodes, once Nixley and Supergirl and hopefully Zor-El are able to exit the Phantom Zone and return to their friends.
I apologize for triggering Venkman with saying one more day. He's a Spider-Man fan, and they're kind of sensitive about those three words being strung together.
Mark says he's so sick of Lex. John Cryer is great, but it's too much. Maybe he should appear every other episode or so. Not a popular opinion, but there it is. I actually like John Cryer. Yes, he's a little bit over the top, but that's kind of fits in with where Supergirl is at as a show.
Yeah.
It's I think we got him for a lot longer than anyone was expecting back when he was first cast.
Oh yeah, it was like 2 episodes, and the season, like, I think it was like 3 episodes that one season, and then he's there for
the crossover
most of the season last year, especially in the back half, and now it's like he's like a series regular, and we're living in this world where back in 2015, when the show was getting ready to start, we were like, well, we're going to get Supergirl, but we're never going to see Superman. We're never going to see Clark. We're never going to see Lois. We're never going to see Lex. and now we've got all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's just one of those things where I never say anything's impossible. I just say it's improbable now.
That's so true.
Because it's obviously not impossible.
Indeed. All right, so the next episode is titled Lost Souls, and the promo trailer looks like this.
I think I found what we're looking for.
We're going home.
Hold on, sis. We're coming.
In the end, we always come back together.
Oh no.
Stronger than ever.
We're gonna need a bigger gun.
We have to get out of here.
We're going to need a bigger gun. So, yeah, that's the promo trailer for Lost Souls, which is the 4th episode of Season 6 of Supergirl. Hopefully the episode in which... Well, I don't know if it'll be the episode in which they get Kara out of the Phantom Zone, because I think looking forward, there is still something... You've got the flashback episodes in which... we'll talk about in a second, where they're still trying to get her out of the Phantom Zone by going back to the past.
Yeah, I just... You're spending an awful lot of time of having your main character not interacting with the rest of the cast. Now, this is actually kind of smart because of COVID restrictions. You're trying to, keep, certain people together. And you could probably do more filming that way. They could probably get more done by splitting up crews and such. But it's the last season, y'all. You might want to have like Supergirl on Earth for some of it.
Hopefully. So yeah, that's the Lost Souls promo, and then beyond that, we have some interviews. Before we get into the episodes beyond that, we had some video interviews from the cast in regards to the current predicament that Supergirl finds herself in. This is the Save Supergirl promo.
Lex successfully manages to send her away.
Once again, Kara finds herself in the Phantom Zone.
Which is unfortunate.
And for a place that's hard to get into, she finds herself there by accident a lot.
Supergirl is gone. Lex Luthor lives. She is frozen in time and forced to relive all her worst nightmares.
Bring it on.
In the Phantom Zone, this is a bit of the character that I don't think people have really seen from her yet.
The tight group of super friends are missing their most important ingredient.
We will get her back.
So it becomes a matter of everybody trying to figure out a way to get her back.
So everybody trying to figure a way to get her back. It seems to be an ongoing problem, and we will probably have to see it for a couple of more episodes beyond this.
Yes, unfortunately.
Unfortunately. And then they did another interview about Kelly Olsen, played by Azzy Tesfaye, who you'd wonder why would they do a particular episode of interview specifically about her character. And I guess because of photos that we've seen floating around on the internet about a development for her character, taking on a role that her brother once took the mantle of, it was probably appropriate that they give us a bit of a insight into who Kelly Olsen is. And here's a little video about her character.
Loss is different for everyone, but it hurts the same. And I will sit with you right here.
Kelly is so kind, and I'm always inspired by her ability to see the best in everyone and to want to help everyone.
The point is that you are still here, and you get to decide whether you give up or you keep going.
And I just love that about her, and it's such a reminder for me when I'm having a tough day that operating out of your heart is always the most beautiful way to exist.
Thanks for coming. We need all hands on deck for this. Of course. I brought the obsidian neuroimager you asked for.
You see her really step up with the Super Friends and take a more prominent role in being bold and fighting.
Stay away from her!
She is me on my very best day, I like to say.
So there you have it, Azzy Tesfaye talking about her role as Kelly Olsen, and we can expect to see her taking on the role of the Guardian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm surprised it took them this long. It's just like all the side characters end up becoming superheroes. I'm surprised Lena hasn't strapped on some armor at this point. Though, to be fair, the pictures of her in the Guardian costume look really good. No, I like Kelly. You know, it's the great thing about this show, as much as I complain about it, is that it has a really diverse cast. And I really like that because it's doing, you know, it does the social commentary thing heavy-handed, but some of the subtle ways it does it is just the people that they cast and the different, you know, it's mostly women, but there's transgender people in the cast, and there's, you know, people of color, and it's just I like that it's all kind of organic to the show. At no point when any of these characters were introduced, even to a certain extent, Dreamer, was it like, you know, this is this. I mean, they talked about Dreamer and her issues, but it was kind of a bold move, but that's as overt as they've gotten. So I like that Kelly stuck around. I like her with Alex. I think it's a good dynamic.
And Kyla Lee does emotions really well.
Yes, she does. She's
probably really good casting for a show like Supergirl.
Yeah, I just wonder what it's like at the end of the day. I was watching an interview with one of the actresses from American Horror Story who's been on a bunch of the seasons. And she says it's really traumatic to your body to put yourself in like a state of fear, even though you know, like, you know, rationally that there's nothing that's going to hurt you. You put your body in that state. So I'm kind of wondering, you know, with as emotional as the show is, did they like need like a day to just lay around and like watch Netflix and just like not think about it?
I imagine it would be quite emotionally and physically taxing doing a show like this because of the action side of things, you know, being a superhero and costume changes and all those kinds of things, and, you know, the choreography of, you know, fight scenes and stuff like that, and then also the emotional toil that it takes on you having to pretend you're crying every 5 minutes. But we also look ahead to Prom Night, which is the first of 2 episodes in which we will flash back to Midvale at an earlier point in Kara's life. Prom Night has some photos that were released for it. Here they are for you now. We see Nia and Brainy headed back to the past, and they will meet up with a young Kara and a young Alex, in which they are obviously on prom night, and we will also be introduced to a young Cat Grant, who will see a story that is happening around Midvale. So an interesting episode coming up. Probably a little bit of a break from the whole Phantom Zone thing, but they're going back because they think that there is something that they need to secure from the past to help Supergirl escape from the Phantom Zone.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to those now. I really wasn't. I was just like, are we just going to do another Smallville redo thing? But yeah, it might be fun.
Yeah, flashback episodes can be fun, especially when there's time travel involved. And, you know, they're trying obviously not to do anything that will change the future. And it's always interesting to see the fashions and you know, play with that in these episodes. So that will be the 5th episode of Season 6, which will air on Tuesday, April 27th. And then the description for the second part of that, for the episode called Prom Again, it reads, Part 2 of the flashback episode picks up where things left off. Young Kara experiences kryptonite for the first time. Nia and Brainy are trapped by invading aliens. And a young Cat Grant may be the reason Supergirl never gets out of the Phantom Zone.
That's not good.
No. Not at all. So that is the 6th episode of the 6th season of Supergirl. Let's hope it doesn't run for 66 minutes. But so we are getting, that will be May 4th, that episode. And then there will be one more on May 11th, which we don't know any details of yet, before Superman and Lois is back on May 18th. and the CW gave us a Sinister season trailer, which you can check out right now.
In 5 weeks, Superman and Lois returns with all new episodes.
Something sinister is going on here.
And catch up now only on the CW app.
Your powers come with responsibility.
I need to incapacitate a threat.
Take him out! Wait!
Superman and Lois. New episodes return Tuesday, May 18th. And catch up now on the CW app.
So there you have it. The first 5 episodes are available on the CW app. And in not quite 5 weeks now, because that was earlier in the week, around 4 and a bit weeks, we will have the first new episode on May 18th.
Yeah, they are not letting you forget that this show is coming back. I think they're pushing Supergirl pretty hard. So I'm not saying like one's suffering from the other, but yeah, they're like, no guys, seriously, we're coming back, we promise.
Yeah, and they even released this new promo poster, which is really cool, great colors, to promote the return of new episodes on Tuesday, May 18th, with Superman and Lois flying arm in arm there. Very reminiscent of the Superman Returns poster, but with Lois included.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I wonder if that was the vibe they were going for.
Yeah, so a really cool episode. I love the vibrance of the red cape in that shot there.
Yeah, put the S on it, you cowards.
I thought that we'd see it in this shot because it's obviously not reversed and from behind, but yeah, that could be a cool thing to see. Michael in the comments is asking, any plans on bringing back Monel and Legion to the Supergirl TV series? Your thoughts?
I would think that Monel would be making another appearance simply because it's the last season.
And because she's married to him in real life.
Yeah, so, but no, I would not count it out. I have a feeling towards the end of the season we're going to have kind of a walk through the series. So I have a feeling that a lot of characters that we haven't seen in a while are probably going to be popping up. But it's a little more complicated because of COVID. So, they're working with the cast that they're working with. So to get a guest appearance like that, you're going to have to bring somebody in. They're going to have to, quarantine for 2 weeks, get tested. And that's a lot of commitment. But, why not?
Yeah, and if you want to do it, do it. Mind the Gap asks, doesn't it strike anyone how now, no matter how often Superman's premise is stripped down, that what got Superman a show was adding to the mythos?
Yes. That is the thing. I remember back in 2016 when Rebirth happened, and suddenly it seemed, with at least the online fandom that I'm exposed to, a lot of people were positive about Superman again, like really liking it after a period where it seemed like there were people that liked it, but most of the fandom was just like not even connected to it. And they spent the New 52 stripping so much away from this character after spending 9 years before that stripping things away from the character, that once they made him a little older, gave him, Lois and he are together again and married, gave him a kid, and kind of gave him that elder statesman, when he shows up, everyone's going to feel better about the situation. Suddenly the comic starts working again. And I think the further you take him away from his core concept and the things that people love about the character, the more people get disinterested in him. And that's why Superman and Lois is so popular, because they're really embracing who the character is. We haven't seen a lot of like the standard villains. We have a Luthor, but he's a different Luthor, and we haven't seen the Toyman, and we haven't seen Brainiac, and we haven't seen, the Prankster or anything like that. Any of his, Metallo hasn't shown up in this show. So to me, it's like the success of Superman and Lois is just a reaffirmation that the general audience outside of comics doesn't want a kind of down Superman.
No. They want everything to be uplifting and positive, and that's what he means to the wider public out there. He's always been that Boy Scout, I guess. John, you might have seen come up there asking about Jimmy Olsen returning to Supergirl. I guess, if Mehcad Brooks is available, that could be a possibility as well. Anything is possible, as he said.
Yeah.
Michael F. Ballick in the comments says, have you noticed that while every other hero is being powered up, they are powering down Superman? I don't think he's necessarily powered down in Superman and Lois. I just think that, they've shown the full gamut of his powers. He's really, super speed, heat vision, flight,
super breath,
strength, everything's in there. Maybe they are building up other characters to be more of a threat to him, but I don't think he's necessarily powered down in this show.
No, I get the sense that he is. Yeah, I don't get a powered down sense at all.
All right, we are at the halfway mark of tonight's show. We're going to take a quick break and come back on the flip side to do the fan favourite segment of our show and also talk comic books. So we'll be back right after this. Don't go anywhere.
We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by.
If you're enjoying WGBS TV Live, then please like and share this video with your family and friends. Also, if you'd like to subscribe to our YouTube channel, you can click on the bell to receive notifications whenever we post a new video. You can also join our YouTube membership program. Just click the join button below. Or you can become a patron and support our website by visiting patreon.com/Superman homepage.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird.
It's a plane. No, it's SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. SupermanHomepage.com, covering the world of Superman from the 1930s to today. News, reviews, rumors, and reports. SupermanHomepage.com for all your Superman comics, TV shows, movies, cartoons, radio shows, and more. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Man of Steel and more. SupermanHomepage.com.
Thanks, Superman Homepage, for all the support over the years. I really appreciate it.
I'm Matt Bomer. I'm the voice of Superman in Superman Unbound, and this is the Superman Homepage.
Right here on Superman Homepage.
Just try one. If you don't like it, it's easy to give up.
Uh-oh, nicotine. I'd better move fast. Up and away!
Go on, kid, go on.
Superman, is it hard to give up smoking, or is it easy like nicotine says?
You no good windbag, nicotine.
No, Superman. Leave me one. Please, I need one. Just...
That's how hard it is. That's why I never say yes to a cigarette.
Nearly ended the show there by pressing the wrong button, but we do have another half hour to go, and we are going to jump straight into the fan favourite segment of our show. All right, Michael, what was our fan favourite question from last week?
This was a good one. It was, what is your favorite Alex Ross Superman image? And Chase McAndrew wrote, ooh, that's a tough question, Steve. Ross is easily my favorite comic book artist, and there's not a piece of his art that I haven't loved. His art is literally half the reason why Kingdom Come is my favorite graphic novel of all time. I have to go with the close-up of image of Superman getting shot in the face, neck, and chest. It's an iconic and incredibly striking image that I haven't gotten out of my head since the first time I saw it.
Yeah, that is a great image there. A nice one. I think it was the cover of Alex Ross's The Art of
Mythology
Alex Ross,
book.
Mythology book. Yeah, that's a really nice image there. Next up, we have Lynn SM, who said, without question, my favourite Alex Ross depiction of Clark/Superman is this image. It captures so perfectly the different facets of Kal-El, how he is truly neither the public Clark Kent nor Superman, but is, when all public pretense is put aside, actually an amalgam of the two, plus some things that no one sees in either public persona. It wonderfully depicts his humanity. I don't know either a species accurate or species neutral term that would work as well here as Kryptonianity is way too awkward. It tells, or at least suggests, stories, plural, without a single word. Although I generally prefer a younger and less stocky version of Superman, this image is nevertheless not only my favourite Alex Ross image, it is also my favourite depiction of him by any artist. Yeah, it really shows, the fact that Superman is just... He's exhausted after a long day of doing both Clark Kent and Superman stuff, and he's just flaked out there, and he's in both costumes, in both uniforms.
He's just like watching the Real Housewives of Metropolis, and just vegging out.
Yeah,
that would be funny if there actually was like a Real Housewives of like Gotham City, a Real Housewives. Jack Rocha wrote, looking through all of the images in the Alex Ross art book Mythology, I settled on the 1998 San Diego Comic Book Convention program cover.
That is a nice one, very in the silhouette with the cape, very red there. Nice one, Jack. Thank you very much. Kenny wrote in saying, Kenny Crowley Jr. that is, hello Steve and Michael, these are my favourite Superman Alex Ross pieces of artwork. Number one, the first image is Alex Ross's interpretation of Crisis on Infinite Earths issue number 7, featuring Christopher Reeve as Superman holding the dead body of Helen Slater as Supergirl, a sad but very powerful image. Number 2, another image of Christopher Reeve as Superman by Alex Ross, just super amazing. Obviously you got Wonder Woman, Batman and the Flash there as well from their TV or movie depictions. And then his third one is this image. Number 3, he says, another Superman Alex Ross image, one of my favourites of Supes, looking very heroic and hopeful. Thanks guys, and keep up the super great work. Thank you, Kenny. Really cool images there. Haven't seen that third one many times.
Yeah, that one, it pops up when I'm like looking for like wallpaper for my iPad. I'll see it a lot, but I've never seen it. It just doesn't work for me on that, but it is a really good image. Ryan Ignatius Pratt. I would say my favorite painting by Alex Ross would be the cover from Superman Forever #1. The image is quite striking in how it captures both the strength and nobility of the Man of Steel. Close second would be the image he used for the front of the 1990s hardcover edition of Kingdom Come. Both the solace and resolve of a much troubled Superman emanate powerfully from the book's cover image.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean the Superman Forever image, and especially the whole series of images showing Clark Kent ripping open his shirt and flying away as Superman is very, very iconic, and probably the most prominent Alex Ross image of you'll see out there of Superman. Cyrus Trochet wrote in saying, my favourite Alex Ross piece is the cover to Superman 685. Ross's work frequently focuses on the iconic nature of the character, so I thought this piece's more human focus was very distinct. I particularly like the use of colour. Yeah, very sad image there, I guess, of the death of Jonathan Kent.
Yeah, I hated that. Not the cover. I hated when they did that in the comics. You gave this one to me on purpose. Yeah. Rommel Katoonkind?
Good enough.
Sorry. Wrote, 2 favorite images are from Peace on Earth. Also, this image from Superman, JLA, Liberty, and Justice.
So there's the Peace on Earth images, and this is his third one, JLA, Liberty, and Justice. Nice. Alex Ross does really good cape.
Yes, he does.
Really good cape. So what about you, Michael? What's your favourite Alex Ross image?
I have 2, and they were both mentioned. The cover to Superman Forever #1 is just really, really iconic to me. That was a really bold statement on the part of DC when they published that book. Like, no, the original costume is back. And I just like how the glasses are in his hand, and that convention cover. I have a thing with Alex Ross's Superman. I really don't like the way he draws the S. I like the size of the S,
Massive.
But I always felt that the proportions of the S were not right.
Right.
Like, it's way too thin on top and just comes down. I like a more proportional, I guess. But
like your T-shirt.
yeah, kind of. Yeah, exactly. But for this piece, I just really like that. Whatever's going on, he's there to help. And it's a really moody and shadowy. It's got kind of a George Reeves feel to it because he's just busted through a wall. But I love those. Those are my two favorite.
Yeah, my one, I chose something. I mean, I love the Superman Forever image, but I chose something completely different from Alex Ross. This was from Superman Adventures and totally goes away from his usual style of the airbrush realism that he's renowned for. And this resonated with me so much back in the day that I actually used it as the basis for a lot of the Superman homepage designs, obviously without the S in the image because of copyright reasons, but and other different changes to it. But just totally different for Alex Ross, something unique, but not something that you would, when you see it, would recognize as being Alex Ross artwork.
Yeah, I remember that cover coming out going, that's about the most off-model Alex Ross piece. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's very striking.
Mm-hmm. So that's probably the most responses we received to our fan favorite segment in quite a while. So thank you to everyone who responded to that question. And we appreciate your sending in those images. And we have a new fan favorite question for this week. What is it, Michael?
Oh, it's a good one, Steve. It is, what is your favorite Superman Silver Age comic book cover?
Yeah, there have been some doozies over the years. Silver Age comic book covers. The email address is at the bottom of your screen now, info@supermanhomepage.com. Send in your favorite Silver Age comic book covers to that address, and we will visit this question next week when we return to WGBS TV Live. Your favorite Silver Age Superman comic book cover. Send in your responses, info@supermanhomepage.com, and there will be some crazy ones in there, I'm sure.
Yeah, Mark asks if Superman Forever is on DC Universe. They have not. I don't think they've really, for single issue purchase, digitized any of the specials, except maybe Emperor Joker. And usually when you find them, they're part of a trade paperback collection. Like, there's not a Y2K standalone special, but the Y2K special is in the Man of Tomorrow line that they've started recently putting out. So, I really want them to get on that because I want to give them money. I say this all the time. Guys, you're literally leaving money on the table because I want to spend it with you.
All right, well, we have a caller who is ready to chat with us tonight, and that is Mark Lax. Getting him on the line right now, and it's appropriate because we are about to talk comic books, which is something that Mark likes to get in on. Hello, Mark. Welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Doing well. What is on your mind this week?
I didn't mention anything about Zack Snyder's Justice League, which I have to say was entertaining. Now, I liked certain things about it. In the end, it's just a curiosity, and it was okay. They just still seem to be pushing it, and all the other movies, it's like they just don't stop. He made it. It was out enough,
Fair enough.
And
I didn't think you needed the Justice is Grey variety of the movie, but it's still out there too. All right, well, we're going to go into the comic book side of things now, and I wanted to touch on what is available this week. So let's go through that list, and we'll each have a chat about what's coming out in the world of Superman comic books. This week we have, I'm bringing them up on the screen right now, Justice League number 60, which sees Superman up against Black Adam, and that is available in this variant cover right here, a very busy variant cover, but an interesting one nevertheless. Also out this week is the second issue of Superman Red and Blue, with a interesting cover there by Nicholas Scott, I think it is. But we have some variants, and I'm not really that great, that wrapped up in either of these. That's a variant cover there, number 1. And this weird one is another variant cover that is available this week for Superman Red and Blue. I'm not sure which 7th grader drew that, but
that's the... Yeah, that's not the angry red eyes of anger. That's the angry red of eyes of what's going on this cover.
Yeah. So that's an interesting one. Also, we have the Flashpoint Omnibus out this week, and there's also Superman Up in the Sky. I think it's a trade paperback release. That one is. The Flashpoint 10th Anniversary Omnibus was a hardcover. This is Superman Up in the Sky trade paperback, collecting all those Walmart and other digital first stories that came out. And then on the digital first publishing program side of things, Challenge of the Super Sons Chapter 13 is available to download now. And also out this week, if you're reading it, is Chapter 7 of the Ruby Justice League digital series. That'll come out tomorrow for downloadable ability. So yeah, that is the comic books coming out this week for Superman fans who read comic books.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, Mark.
No, I'm just saying the Superman up in the sky stuff. I haven't read yet. I don't know if it's. I've heard mixed things on it, but.
Most of it was really good. I have to say that I think those kind of standalone stories were what a lot of people who weren't invested in John Romita Jr.'s artwork and what Bendis was doing were latching onto. That was the stories that they were reading while they waited for those guys to
to leave.
To say it nicely.
And also, Future State wasn't supposed to. Future State was just supposed to be, a what if kind of thing. Now suddenly it's all, it seems there's Future State books, there's the Batman, there's the Wonder Woman, and and they seem to be, especially if you read Infinite Frontier, they're really concentrating on John, like he's going to become the next Superman. I like John. He's a good character. Give him his own book. Let him do his thing. But so far in these 3 issues, I'm not impressed. It's not awful. They're not awful, but they're putting him in front. And I think even Superman said at one point, I'm outliving my usefulness or something to that effect. And I'm like, what? So I don't know what they're going to do there. I know they have big stories planned and there's going to be big events coming. So, things might get better and change. I'm going to stick with it. But I don't know. I'm just kind of, I can't warm up to it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you as far as John's concerned. I like the character and I think he's a great addition to the Superman family, but I don't want to see them indicating or insinuating that they're going to be replacing Superman with John. And John doesn't want that. It's not like John's, trying to knock off his dad to take his place. It's just like that's what they're insinuating in the stories. And while that's an interesting development, it's not necessarily something I want to see happen. I don't think, Batman fans probably don't mind, obviously there's Nightwing and that there's, Damian and there's all these other characters, waiting to take over the mantle. I think they still want to see Bruce Wayne as Batman.
Right.
Yeah, there's something about the hubris of every time they try to do this, we're going to replace the characters, we're going to age them down, we're going to try to make them more relevant to, what they think the contemporary audience is. And I think, Superman's been around 80 years for a reason. Yesterday, at least United States time yesterday, there was I think I was the only one on Twitter that did not say happy birthday, Superman, which I don't know if I should have. I do enough, I think, talking about Superman that I think I could be given the day off. But it's just like everyone's just like, we love this character, we love this character, we love this character. And yet DC was at one point planning to sideline him and bring John in as the new Superman. And now it seems like they're kind of hinting towards that still. And I think it's just like, I'm just setting the clock until that doesn't work. And they're like, well, we're going to just bring back the traditional Superman. Because that's how it happens every single time.
For sure.
Yeah, why even start to begin with? I mean, it's just, I don't know. Just tell some great stories. That's all I want. Some great Superman stories.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Mark. It's great to hear from you. I really appreciate you calling in and giving us your thoughts on a couple of those topics, and we'll hear from you again soon.
All right, guys. You take care.
You too. Bye-bye. That was Mark Lax. Good to hear from him. And Michael F. Ballack in the comments says, doesn't Joe know when and how Superman dies? Well, according to some lore in Legion of Superheroes in the current stories, it was supposed to be this shadow breed, confrontation that would be the end of Superman. But I guess, you'll write your own future.
If you wanted to do a title where John is like out in space, like forging his own path as the son of Superman, that might be interesting as his own series. But it seems like they're really trying to just make him co-equal to his dad. And that was never the point of the character to me. It's just like, I'm glad the Super Son stuff is out there, because I wanted to see, at first I was just like, well, I see why they aged him up, because that growing up period's a little complicated. But the more I think about it, the more I'm like, no, that was just Bendis being Bendis again and thinking that he knew better than everybody, because that is his thing. He has talent, so I'm not saying that, it's not unwarranted, but Bendis has a very strong personality when it comes to the books, and aging him up and getting him out of the... Just, we hardly had time to really appreciate what Jonathan meant, and then, nope. We're changing everything.
Yeah, indeed. So we'll wait and see where the comic books go as far as that is concerned. We'll look to the future. Michael, do you have it? Looking at the future, let's look at the past. Do you want to do it this week in history, or should I move on to other things?
I got one ready to go.
I thought we might throw one in, since we've kind of skipped on that the last couple of weeks. Okay, well, here is the intro for a look back at this week in the history of Superman.
Come with me now, my son, as we break through the bars of your earthly confinement, traveling through time and space.
Alrighty, we're starting all the way back in 1941 with Action Comics number 37, which featured the Superman story, Clark Kent, police commissioner, and I don't know if they're throwing an explosive or if Superman's stopping a pickup baseball game. I'm not quite sure what's going on in that cover, but he looks pretty dynamic.
It looks like they're about to throw a bomb over the U.S. Munition Works fence. So probably saboteurs.
Jumping to 1951, we have Action Comics number 157. The Superman story in that one was called The Superman Who Couldn't Fly. And it's just got this great cover of a woman asking Superman, why doesn't he go after them? And I don't know, lady. Maybe it's the giant ball and chain at his feet. I love that cover.
That is so funny.
You also had Adventure Comics number 165, which had the Superboy story, Superboy's School for Stuntmen, which that's a cute little like Archie type picture. 1961, we have World's Finest Comics number 118 with the Superman Batman story, The Creature That Was Exchanged for Superman. And looking at that cover, that is not an equal thing. That looks like the new mascot for the Philadelphia Flyers, the hockey team. That's kind of a horror show going on there. Jumping to 1971, another World's Finest issue, number 203. This was when World's Finest was a Superman team-up book, and it has Superman and Aquaman, where Superman is apparently blind. That's kind of a cool cover. We're digging that. It's a Neil Adams piece. Jumping to 1981, Action Comics number 521. The Deadly Rampage of the Lady Fox. This is the first appearance of the hero known as Vixen, who looks completely different nowadays. That does not look like her. Also, in 1981, you had The New Adventures of Superboy number 19, 0 Hour for the Kents, where Superboy is about to kill somebody. Or it looks like, and you have the what?
Yeah, so I didn't have it already, and then I saw where it was. New Adventures. Yeah, it looks like he's about to
punch that guy into next week. You also had the Superman Family number 208 that came out, which had the Superman Lois Lane story, The Fifth Dimensional Hijack. And that's not Mr. Mixes Pitalik, y'all. That's Mr. Mixes Tipalik, because it's the Earth 2 version of the original spelling. Jumping to 1991, we actually got one like every year this time out. Adventures of Superman number 479. This was the second part of the Red Glass storyline by James Hudnall and with art by Ed Hannigan. This was all leading up to something I hope we get to talk about, which is the launch. We're at the 30th anniversary almost of Superman the Man of Steel number 1. And this was kind of like the breather month that gave everybody a chance to get those double-sized issues done. Jumping to 2001, we have Superman the Man of Steel number 113, Infestation, Chapter 3. This was a Marv Wolfman written storyline.
Is that Ed McGuinness artwork?
That is Dale Keown.
Yeah, it is too.
Artwork. Yeah, Paco Medina did the interiors. I have absolutely no memory of that story.
No, neither
I
do
mean, I remember it. I remember it happening. I just don't remember what happened.
What happened? Yeah.
Going into 2011, we have Supergirl number 63, which is Good Looking Corpse Part 4. This was right before all of this wrapped up. That's a good cover, though. I like that. And also, we had Superman Batman number 83, Sorcerer King Part 3, written by Cullen Bunn. One of my last reviews for that title.
There you go.
I remember that going, it's bringing like a lot of memories. And that, outside of the fact that we did celebrate Superman's birthday, and that on the 18th, Cassidy Freeman, who played Tess Mercer, was born on April 22nd, 1982. Cal Penn was born on April 23rd, 1977. Yes, he is a year younger than me. And April 24th, Stacey Hadiak, Lana Lang of the Superboy TV series, was born in 1968. And that is This Week in History.
Excellent. That was a good one. Yeah, one for every decade, which doesn't usually happen all that often.
Nope.
So very cool. Thank you for that. And that pretty much brings us to the end of tonight's episode. I want to thank everyone for tuning into WGBS TV Live. I want to thank all those in the YouTube comments who participated in the questions and answers and things that you responded to throughout the show. Thank you for that. And thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt, and Tina Murray. And remember, if you'd like to support the Superman homepage, you can do so for as little as $1. You just have to head to patreon.com/Superman homepage, or you can click the join button below there on YouTube. Michael and I will be back next week on a Monday, April 26th, for another edition of WGBS TV Live, which will being the last one for the month of April. We will do our monthly segments. So make sure you get your answers in for those if you haven't done so. But we'll be back next week. Until then, be sure to check out supermanhomepage.com for all your daily news updates on everything surrounding the Man of Steel. I'm Steve Eunice on behalf of myself and Michael Bailey. There he is over that side. Thanks for watching WGBS TV Live. Thank you, Michael.
Pleasure as always, Steve.
Until then, we'll see you next week. Bye. I can never find the right button. There it is.